drugs place, dance hall days in a rain. Fell in love in America, in the streets of America, where nothing comes for free. Here in America, the land by the sea, for all I can be is with you. She smiles and says there's nothing to worry. Life's too short for us to be in a hurry. So we dance in the night until the song fades away. Fell in love in America, in the streets of America, where nothing comes for free. Here in America, the land by the sea, for all I can be is with you. The things in life that fill your heart with doubt come crashing in the dark. So we dance in the night until the song fades away. Oh, fell in love in America, in the heart of it all.
All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday evening. I hope all of you are well who are a part of my kindred people of God. I'm sad to report that we have lost another high-caliber lady of our group, of our people. And I want to dedicate tonight to her, Miss Gabrielle Linehan, or Linehan. We're very sorry, dear. We try to warn our people. We do our best to give everyone the warnings. There's really nothing you could have done. You were minding your own business in your part of town where you belong, and unfortunately, we are still stuck with the Black Plague, and we don't have an immediate fix for it yet, but we're working on it. And I know, dear, that doesn't help you now, and I'm sorry. But rest assured, dear, that in the future coming, in the very near future, you won't have to rest long. Jesus Christ will be coming for you, and God will be avenging you shortly after. And it will be sweet for you, dear. And even though you never asked for any of this, it will be sweet. And I'm sorry. And from all of our people, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we are terribly sorry. And we're sorry for your family to have to deal with the grief afterward. And our hearts go out to you and to your family. May you rest in peace. Lord, just help us. What else can we do right now but pray to you, Lord, and ask for your help? We're as bad off as we were in Egypt. Trapped. Totally stuck, doomed. And there's just nothing we can do yet, it seems, until you give us the go, Lord. So for the moment, we just push, and we push, and we push as hard as we can, in hopes and in prayer that you will smile upon our efforts and give us that tailwind that we need, Lord, and give us your mighty force field in front of us. Godspeed to all of you who do whatever you can for our people, no matter how small. If all you do is comment and leave likes on channels that are pro-white, or are pushing the Epstein files, or are doing anything to try to help the progression of white people's rising up along. If all you do is drive the extra few miles and spend the extra few dollars to patron for your meals and your things at places where white people are hired, whatever you do is better than nothing. And to all of you who do much more, we are grateful to your efforts as well. Thank you all for stopping by tonight. I don't know what was going on with YouTube. In fact, it's still acting crazy where I'm at. The homepage will not show up. It just keeps saying it's erroring. So I think right now what might be happening is a purge. I could be wrong. Maybe it's only my machine. Maybe it's only over here. But it's two different devices of mine, while all the other internet, all the other websites work fine. And even on YouTube itself, on the YouTube app on my phone and on YouTube on an actual laptop, the home page will not show. It'll show my channel for me. It'll show my my studio creator, so I can run the dashboard, so I can run streams. It'll show me my subscription list on the app. I don't know, I haven't tried it on the laptop, but it works on the app. But it will not show the home page. It just will not do it. So I don't know what's going on with the home page right now. Seems to me they are making some, I think they're doing a purge right now, y'all. That's really what I think's happening, because I've never seen the home page act like that. I already updated the app, which I figured they were doing that to force us all to do an update. And I don't really care. The device I use is a burner device, so I went ahead and updated it. And still, same thing. I restarted the device, same thing. And again, on a laptop, totally different, not on the app at all. It's doing the same thing on the home page. So I don't know if you folks want to click on the home page on another device or the same one and just see if it brings it up and report to me if you guys and gals are able to see it. But it's definitely not giving me a home page on any of my devices right now. So that's kind of odd. I definitely, because of that, I definitely suspect there is a purge happening right now. In fact, I saw another YouTuber earlier this evening, just a little bit ago, post a video, and the title is that YouTube is deleting or erasing or whatever word they used, deleting content or deleting Epstein file content. So if you'll notice, there have been a million new YouTube channels started. Well, I don't want to say started, but a million YouTubers that already exist, I should say, who were interested in all manner of different things, are now all focused in on the Epstein files. Some of them are leftists who want to bust, Trump and Republicans. And some are Republicans who, genuinely think that Trump is innocent, and that it's all Democrats on the list, so they're feverish to expose all the files, hoping to expose all the Democrats, right? And of course, we all know that it's all of them. And so for us, it's actually very helpful that both of these sides in the middle, well, I should say the center, which is the right wing, the fake right, and then the left, it's very handy that they're all helping right now. And if they're an anti-white channel, if they're a pro-Antifa, free Palestine instead of worrying about America first, I understand Palestine's a big deal and a problem and the whole thing, and we're funding it, and our troops are blowing all our shit over there has blown everything up. I realize all of that, but we're America first, and we're America only. So if we force America first and America only into our circumstances here in our country, there won't be any more missiles or bombs being over in Israel. They'll all be brought back here. Our ships will be brought back here. Our troops and planes and guns and ammo and tanks and everything will be brought back here. Also, if we have a proper leader take over, someone like myself or Jack or anybody else who is a mentally strong enough person to actually do what needs to be done, we would also confiscate all of their military equipment, because all of it's donated from us, all of it's created by us, and just handed over to them. And of course, they do it under the guise of, we buy the equipment off of you. Yeah, right. Jews don't have any money. They only use our money to do anything. So it's a joke. We give them all the stuff they have. So I, or anybody else who is as competent mentally as I am, as uncucked as I am, would remove all of it, would seize all of it and remove it all from Israel and bring it all back here, and would leave them barren with not one pistol left behind for them to, and then they'll be evened out with the Palestinians. Then it'll be Palestinians throwing rocks at Jews throwing rocks back at them, just like it ought to be. No more of this high-tech equipment of whiteys over there blowing up people or critters, whatever, Arabs. No more of that. All whitey equipment would all be brought home, and they would be back to throwing rocks at each other. And honestly, if it came down to it, to be honest, I would almost rather at this point just drive them all out at least of Jerusalem. But the problem is, if we didn't drive them all out of the whole thing, then they would be encompassing Jerusalem all the time. And they would be desecrating all the sites and stuff, which I imagine they're probably going to do once they get back a hold of it. And so we could waste a bunch of money if we want trying to preserve the side of the world over there where we spent the post-flood era before we came to Europe. But I don't know. I don't know if it would be more, it would be a lot more money and a lot more hassle and a lot more drama for us to drive everyone out of there and then maintain it ourselves over there. And the Palestinians have already been living there for so long now that it's like, at this point, I would prefer just honestly bring in all the equipment, including all of Israel's, confiscate all of it, have them throwing rocks at each other back to the Stone Age like they belong, and then we could carry on with our business. And I would only have all of our military along our borders all the way around, all along the northern border, all along the southern border, all along both east and west coast borders. Every 35 feet or 55 feet, whatever it is, times all the troops we have divided up around the whole circumference of the country. If it's a troop every 180 feet, so be it. If it's a troop every every 600 feet, so be it. But we would have a soldier every however many feet all the way around the country. I would take the National Guard. I would use the Army Rangers. I would keep all the military working, but they would all stay working together, all intermingled. Or if it works out that that's not a good idea, then we'd keep them separated in their different disciplines of military. But however we would do it, we would keep them all at our borders. And our battleships would be out away from our country, out in the international waters, right at the borders of our waters, guarding our entire water borders. And we would have a few small battleships guarding Easter Island while the non-whites eat each other that we ship off to there. And that would be that. So it could all be settled really quick, really quick. Would it be violent? Yes. Would it be unpleasant? Yes, because that's just the way it has to be. It's not that I want it that way. It's that the non-whites aren't going to take no for an answer. The only thing non-whites answer to, and they don't even answer to it, they fight all the way to the death. But the only thing you can do, the only thing that non-whites, and they don't yield. So there is no yielding for non-whites. They are like beasts that just never run out of steam. So basically, it has to be done by force, and that's it. There is no reasoning with them and all this dumb shit like the government trying to pay them to go home after they've already been ripping us off for millions of dollars. Like, no, thank you. We're not going to give them $1. In fact, we're going to seize every dollar they have crumbled up in their pockets. And we're going to seize all the money they have in whatever bank accounts they have. We're going to seize all their assets, and we're going to round them all up, put them in ships, and we're going to ship them off our shores, away from our country, to Easter Island. No more of this, pay them some money so they can go back to their place and have a vacation there and tell everybody how awesome America is and scheme to get a bunch of more of them and then, oh yeah, follow me back. And then that's all that's happening when they pay these non-whites to go home. They just go home on a vacation. They're being given a paid vacation to go back to their country to tell all the others how great and awesome their adventures are and then encourage more of them to come to America with them as they turn around and go right back. And it's, stupid and pathetic. And this is our 3 years. So there is supposed to be a rising up. Somehow. I can't explain how it's going to happen because I don't know. None of us do. But there will be a rising up. It has to happen. This is the 3.5 years for us that it's going to happen. We're not even in month 1 of it yet, to be honest, because it begins April 1st. So all of this that's happened already that has started waking up millions of white people because of the Epstein files is now going to become closer and closer to the beginning of our first 3.5 years, or the beginning of our 3.5 years. And so by the end of this year, we should have a lot accomplished, y'all. We should have a lot more white people aware of who we are and who the Jews are not and who they actually are. And because of that, white people will by default discover that the non-whites are the beasts. And so, by default, of our white people learning our identity in this year and perhaps part of next year, it might take all the way to midpoint of next year for enough or a lot of our white people to finally have heard the message. But it's very important that all of you push it as best you can on other channels. And you're on other conservative channels, make sure you're putting Jews are not Israelites, or put only white people are Israel, or only white people are mankind, you know. But that one's so deep that people can't wrap their minds around that one. So it's easier to put only white people are Israel, because that people understand. People would understand if they read only white people are Israel. They'd be like, oh, wow, that excludes all the non-whites, and then wonder if this guy's talking about the Jews too, because, you know, of course they think Jews are white half the time because they're dumb. So, you know, unfortunately, they may still think we're talking about Jews at that point. That's why I like to say Jews are not Israelites. But the problem with that one is it doesn't tell them who the Israelites are then. So only white people are Israel is actually a better thing to say, even if the cuck is self-dupes themselves into thinking that that still includes Jews, you know. At least it excludes all the non-whites. It excludes the blacks and Arabs and the, you know, whoever's. Feathers, Mexicans, all that stuff. So once we get the non-whites out of the way, then it becomes, okay, now it's just about all these white-looking people. And then when they discover the Holy Bible's characters, all the biblical characters of the Holy Bible, all the godly men of the Holy Bible and all the women of the Holy Bible are all called white and ruddy. It's just a series of steps, you know. Once we can exhibit to them that, look, you know, Jews are mongrels, you know, they're not white and ruddy. They're like this ghostly mongrel white, you know, and like a blue white. And that's kind of why I think they use the blue color, because they're blue bloods, you know. And granted, I know the whole story about, oh, well, your blood's technically blue until it has oxygen. But we mean blue blood a different way. We mean it as they are a demonic type. Their whole entire, you know, existence physically is drastically different than ours is. Even though to a non-white, we all appear as white. Because you got to figure non-whites are only looking at the shade of color of the skin. They really don't go by anything else, hardly at all. And that's why they have their own names about, you know, light skin brothers, light skin sisters, whatever, because that's what they're going by. You know, they don't ever talk about, oh, that blonde sister or that brunette sister, because that's a joke. That doesn't exist. So that would be stupid of them to say. So they only go by skin color. So when they see Jews, they foolishly do think they're white, especially when the Jews have changed their names to white people names and yada, yada. So anyhow, on lighter news, Jesse Jackson is gone. I don't know how he managed to croak before Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton looks like a ghoul, but somehow Al Sharpton managed to outlive him. And Al Sharpton's older than him, too, so it's kind of surprising that old Al managed to stretch out further. But, you know, and I'm not a big fan of death. I don't celebrate death. I don't celebrate death of things. I don't like the idea of anything having to die that has had life. But knowing the harm and the destruction that particular creature and Al Sharpton and all the others, you know, that are the leaders of the blacks, knowing the white women he's definitely defiled, because that's what all the black leaders spend all of their time trying to sleep with on the side, regardless if they're married, regardless if they're called a minister or a reverend. They all, including Martin Luther King back in the day, who knows what his real name was, and his own kind's click noises, trying to steal our Martin Luther's name and defile it and ruin it. So you know the Jews picked that name to give him. But they spend all their time trying to sleep with white women. So we know that Jesse Jackson definitely defiled a bazillion white women in his life. Dumb, cucked, idiotic lefties, even though some of them are probably smoking fine looking. But they're retarded, cucked leftists that are happy as heck to just sleep with a darkie to freaking get mad and make daddy mad or whatever. So I do celebrate this one being gone because of, the fact that he has definitely defiled white women and because of all the destruction and chaos he has caused our people throughout his life. And so who knows how much that idiot cost our country. He probably cost our country more than $1 trillion. Just that one retarded upright biped. And, you add him and Al Sharpton and Don King and all these other idiots together that have throughout the years, and it's just trillions of dollars these pieces of shit have cost us, in riling up the blacks to destroy entire cities of ours and attack millions of white people at a time. And at minimum, thousands at a time when they would do their crazy things. So, he's at the steering wheel of all that stuff. The Jews might be puppeteering him, but he's still out there up front. He's the one talking to the blacks, him and Al Sharpton and Farrakhan and all them turds. So they will litter the earth like dung as we look from the clouds down below us at them. Let me say hello to the chat real quick before we get further into the night. Evan Smith was the first noticer. Hello, God bless you. He chimed in early on. Okay. And nobody else has said anything in the chat except you. Okay, hello. And so he said, so sad to see the slide about Spain here. Those are the real white Spanish people, not the Spics. Absolutely. Spaniards are, beautiful white ladies. And so, yeah, it is terribly horrible what Spain is doing to their people right now, accepting that 500,000 invaders just like that. I mean, our governments are openly against us. Openly. Every European country government, other than maybe, supposedly Poland and supposedly Hungary, they're letting in darkies too. Don't let them fool you. But the other countries are all just openly, including ours, including Canada, including Australia, including New Zealand, are just telling us, fuck you. Fuck you, Whitey. We don't care what you say. We don't care that you're freaking telling us not to do something. We don't care that we're supposed to be bossed around by you. No, we're in charge because you put us here, but now we're in charge. So F you, we know what's best. And we don't care what you say. We don't care what you think. We're going to do what we want to do, which is the opposite of what you expected of us when you put us in here. And what they do is they lean on the 20% of our retarded leftist cucks and highlight them as though they represent the whole country, no matter which country it is. And then they play the shame game against the other 80% of the country that isn't cucked. Well, all of our countries are cucked. So, but the other 80% that aren't as severely as cucked as the leftists are, they just play the shame game against all of them. And so now we have this situation where anything we say, anything we do, we're immediately shamed, which can immediately get us fired from our jobs, or it also keeps us from being able to say certain words. We're now forbidden to say certain words. Otherwise, we instantly lose everything, regardless of our whole life's work or whatever. And regardless of the fact that it's just a harmless bullshit thing that was said that causes no one any real actual harm, but yet the real actual harm will be inflicted on white people who ever say a forbidden thing. And, we see that example with Carrie Prejean Baller. We see that with the other example we just had where the person was fired. It wasn't just Carrie. There was another one just fired also. And things like Pam Bondi getting up and saying that ridiculous shit that she said that everyone's clowning her about, talking about the Dow and everything. That's clearly just a middle finger in our face. Like, even the opposition to them, the ones who pretend to be the opposition, couldn't help but laugh when she said it because it was the most ridiculous, stupid, and definitely Trump-inspired thing. Guarantee you he's the one that told her to say that. And so while all the conservatives who worship Trump are busy blaming Bondi all the time and blaming Bongino and blaming Patel, they left because they realize that they can't do shit. That their hands were literally tied. They were told by the Jews and by Trump and his administration, you stay shut the hell up. What 6 billion files? It ain't 6 million, it's 6 billion files. 15 terabytes of data? That's 6 billion files, not 6 million. And they released 3 measly million, of which it's basically a ton of repeats and a bunch of just junk. So really, we only have probably about 250,000 files that are worth even looking at. And of those 250,000, there are probably only about maybe 5,000 or less, maybe only 1,000 files that are actually worth two shits. Now, we have found plenty of really good files, and that's why the number's climbing. Really good files too. But, for the moment, they're keeping 99.7% of the files away from us and telling us that we have everything when they only gave us 0.3% of the files. And really it's probably 0.03% of the files, like I was saying. So imagine if it's really only 0.03% of the files, which I'm certain it is, surely. I mean, think about the gaps in all the emails. They would email each other every day, 20 times a day, about pizza, jerky, grapes, all these different things and experiences and trying to work out deals with all these different groups and what 9/11, are you going to be on the 9/11 council? And, you're going to work out this clone experiment funding, and it's on and on and on. These fools sat with their BlackBerries emailing each other and BlackBerry messaging each other all day long. So for us to have files that are like days apart, here's a file, and then, the next file isn't dated until like 4 days later and shit like that. There's 5,000 emails that happen in those 4 days between the one email and the next email in all the files chronologically arranged. So they literally just cherry picked every different, I don't know how they did. I can't exactly say, of course, nobody really can, but it appears as though they just picked a bunch of softball crap, and then maybe they didn't realize, maybe they got to a point where they were lazy, or they diversity hired some non-whites, and the non-whites decided to throw some of the files in there and betray them or whatever, double cross them, because non-whites will do that. And so perhaps it was that. Perhaps it was a Jew put all that in there to stir up controversy and get a lot of attention, a lot of exposure on them as being the pedos, because they're wanting their exposure. They basically want us to know everything. They want to be our open rulers, where everyone knows that they rule us. undisputed, just like it says at the end of Emanuel Rabinovich's speech when he talks about eliminating white people and the Pax Judaica that will occur after that they hope of, which they claim will be 10,000 years of them ruling undisputed, but openly, it says. We will openly rule over the dark races, undisputed. But they explicitly used the word openly because that's what they want. That's what they enjoyed back when Jesus showed up. When Jesus arrived, they had already been enjoying 200 plus years of being called our elders, right? Which, you know, they came up with that nickname of themselves all by themselves. You know, we didn't start calling them our elders. They started calling themselves our elders. And so that turned into the elders. And then by Christ's time, not only were they had been calling themselves our elders for 200 plus years, but they also called themselves our high priests. They were our police. They were our judges. They were our government. And yes, Rome came along and conquered the whole area. And we were under Roman rule when Christ showed up. But the Romans allowed every small region, wherever they may be, Israelites included, to operate as they pretty much always did. And so Rome's rule was more about showing up once a month or however often their frequency was and collect a tax. And then that was the extent mostly of Roman rule over many groups of people. Now, they may rule the land. They may take over the area land-wise, and now all the facilities and buildings and all those things are controlled by Rome. But they still allowed the actual groups themselves to have their own religious control over themselves and over their people. And so if the Jews could have tricked Jesus Christ, which would have been impossible, but if they could have tricked Jesus Christ into answering a question that violates our God's laws according to them, not for real, but just according to them, then they could have stoned Jesus themselves. But because they had everything so set up where they wanted to look legitimate in front of us, right? They didn't want to stone him just on their own, like tell everyone, hey, we're just going to stone this guy because we don't like him. They needed him, according to their own BS that they had arranged by, to commandeer us. They had to try to get him to politically incriminate himself by getting him to answer a question wrongly. And that's why they followed him around asking him trick questions. It's very straightforward. And most of you folks all know that. I'm just saying it for a reminder or for teaching people who may listen to the stream who have never realized that about the Jews. So, so this reveal this year, to digress all the way back to that, is it's supposed to happen this year, right? Year number 1 of the 7 years of Jacob's trouble is the year that they are supposed to be revealed. So here they are with the Epstein files. Trump put out that thing showing the Obamas as monkeys. That's going to do a 2-prong thing that's going to rile up the Trump supporters to go, yeah, because even though they tell themselves in front of the lefties, I'm not a scary R word, I'm not racist, they all roared with laughter and loved Trump all over again for posting that on his whatever X post. So that riled up his group again that worships him to continue worshiping him as though he's still on their side. He basically ignores the base. He ignores his white voter base 24/7. But when they finally become so disgruntled that he's losing up to 50% of them, perhaps, of the worshipers, that's when he'll bust out with something to reel them back in. And that's all that Obama post was. It was just to round back up all of his, worshipers who have slowly become so disgruntled from his inaction or doing something completely opposite of what they are expecting, lack of mass deportations, all these things, that, he started losing a lot of them. The Epstein files, the way he's handling that's where he's losing the most of them. And so he needed to do a post like that to, herd them back up. And it works very excellently, guaranteed. And another thing it does is it riles up the non-whites more against us white people. So they have evidence, right? They're like, see, even if a white man is president of the country, he's still racist and he's still da-da-da. Look, he's still against non-whites and da-da-da. And so they get to play their shame game against white people as though we're all passing around pictures of blacks as monkeys all the time, which it wouldn't matter if we do. This is our freaking country. We could do that all we want. And if they don't like it, they can piss off back to Africa. But in fact, white people are just mostly busy going about our day. We don't wake up in the morning and go, hur, and get on the internet and spend all day, thinking or putting that blacks are monkeys or something. That's just ridiculous. But that's the way the non-whites will, of course, spin it because of Trump's post. They'll go, see, this is the shit they do all day and night, which, by the way, we have every right to, based on their behavior. And again, because it's our country, we can say whatever we want about whoever here what we want. But because they're able to use that shame game, that recucks white people. That takes whatever progress you may have had with some white person that you've been finally uncucking from the non-whites. And then that Trump post comes out and it short circuits everything that you'd been working on with this white person for so long, because now they're like, oh, yeah, just like the non-whites are always accusing us. See right here, Trump just did that racist stuff, man, and now all the non-whites are mad at us. Well, totally true. And what can you say back to it other than try to explain the whole situation? But that's too hard to do to a normie, to explain to them everything that's going on. We try to in simple terms. We try to explain to them, look, there's a left and a right. Hello, John Connor. God bless you. Thanks for chiming in and being here to visit. I appreciate you, buddy. I'll read y'all's posts here in a little bit. But it's like, I threw myself off saying hello to you. Oh, the normie. But it's hard enough, it's hard enough to get a normie to realize, and uncuck themselves. So it makes it a million times worse when, you've got them almost all sorted, and then Trump does something dumb like that as president, which of course allows the entire shame game to explode into action against us. And so, of course, that's what's been going on. I'm sure most of you don't watch mainstream Talmud Vision MSM, but anytime you would get on it, and then today or yesterday or any day since he's posted that about the old bombers, every day, all day long, every freaking 30 minutes, they got to have some kind of segment about Trump's racist tweet and Obama's response to it. So now that's the big thing, is what does Obama say about it? What's Obama's response to Trump's racist tweet? And so you see that's been the thing now since Obama mentioned it, or Obama was asked about it finally the other day. And, we've seen him and Obama sitting side by side, buddied up, chatting it up, acting like it's all good. And in fact, it's really Trump that's being a cuck. Trump's the one leaning in and talking to him and all this, and he's just sitting there smiling and staying upright, not leaning really back into Trump, not really into Trump like Trump's into him. Trump, at that funeral, whatever it was, they attended that time when they were sitting together, he was acting like a giddy little kid, hanging all up on Obama, talking to him, touching him, leaning in on him the whole time, constantly had to say shit to him. Couldn't just sit there quietly next to him and just be two men that may not like each other, whatever. Instead, no, they're buddies. Not buddies, but, I don't think Obama likes him very much, but Trump thinks that everybody likes him, and that he has no self-awareness. So, like, when he's in front of Obama's remembering all the crap he said, to the entire world about him. So he's actually keeping himself fairly composed for a nog because he's got to keep on the whole, I was a president, thing. But imagine if he was any other nog on earth. As soon as he saw Trump, he'd be like, "What'd you say, motherfucker?" And he'd go attack him, and it'd be a brawl. First time Trump ever stepped foot in a room with the nog. But instead, since it's Obama and they got to keep him as the holier-than-thou saint, that's better than all the white people and was the best, greatest president ever, he's basically their black JFK. So, they have to make sure that he doesn't chimp out. And so, Obama did a pretty good job of sitting there and smiling and talking back to Trump, replying to his things and entertaining him. But Trump was the one just totally pandering and totally cucking to him the whole time. It was freaking embarrassing to watch. So, it's one of those things where now he's done that, and now that, the Epstein files are out, a lot of new things are going to come of all this. People are now, for sure, a whole bunch of people know about the Jews. So that's good. And then I think I just grabbed a very old soda that was sitting in the back of the pantry, and I had it too long. That thing's dead or flat as could be. Ugh. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to swap that out in a minute. Anyway, I don't know why I told you all that, but in case you heard the sound effects. But we're basically on the cusp. We're literally right at the door. We have another month still, though, which is cool. So we have a whole more 30 days to go, or 40, I guess, or something to go, where, we can push harder, push the info out more and more and more. And before you know it, we'll have even more people awakened before the beginning of year number 1 of Jacob's Trouble even begins. So how glorious will it be to start it off with 50 more souls than we would have had, or 500 more souls than we would have had, if all of us collectively across the entire YouTube and interwebs total push this info as hard as we can, starting already, starting now, starting today, starting tonight, starting tomorrow, and just nonstop. Every time you're on YouTube, whatever video you're on, put that shit in the comments. And of course, I don't mean that you have to muddy up comment sections of folks who aren't talking about these subjects, or this subject of white people and Jews and whatever. But on all of those channels where you are watching people talk about that stuff, please, pretty please, for your own sake, not for me. Will I benefit? Sure. But it's not for me. It's for your own sake. And it's for your own children's sake. And if you don't have children, it's for your own family and race's sake. That we spread the news. Not only that Jews are not Israelites, but that we are. Because right now, you have all the free Palestine cucks of ours thinking that Palestinians are Semites. And that's what every single one of them says, especially the cuck leftists. So, we have, maybe the right wing doesn't say it because they think the Jews are, Israelites. And they probably don't think Palestinians are. But the left all say that shit. All the cuck lefties are like, actually, the Arabs are Semites and Jews aren't. And it's like, oh my gosh, no, you got it wrong still. And so that's why it's so critical and so special and important for any of you who do have the true knowledge, that do have the true understanding, to correct these folks, reprove them in the comment sections, because they need it. They may not realize they need it, but they do. And so you're the only one that can do so. If you're the only uncucked person in that comment section, or even if there is someone that came before you, give them a like if they put a based comment. Whatever it is, something about the Jays, something about exposing them, give them their like. And then go ahead and you leave a based comment. Jews are not Israelites, or only white people are Israel. It's really not hard to win the information war, but we have to participate. If you don't participate, I mean, you just become a load. And don't get me wrong, I understand that a lot of our people cannot participate. I realize that there may be those of you who tune into my channel who are not mentally apt to be able to do things like that. Maybe you're too worried. Maybe you're afraid the Jews would come after you. Maybe you're afraid your government would come after you, or your local government. And I understand all those things. And I feel for all of you who are in those positions. Like, I can't expect any of our friends in the UK, anywhere, to say anything, even sideways right now, of the official narrative. Otherwise, they get locked up for life. So they're already doomed over there, and I can't encourage them to just get themselves locked up. But we have to, that's, in y'all's situation over there, for those of you who ever tune in from the UK area, whatever, you're going to have to still come up with creative things and creative ways to get your point across to more and more people. The raise the colors thing was good. It was good, but the law squashed it on you, and y'all allowed it to fizzle out. And once you allow it to fizzle out, then the law realizes, okay, they last about 2 weeks, they last about 6 weeks, they last about 4 months, they last about however long, and then whatever their little campaign is will fizzle out. And so they just treat you like children going through a phase, going through a throwing a temper tantrum phase. And so they ignore you at first and let you go out and do your thing and be all whatever, raise the colors, spray painting the flag, the cross everywhere. Y'all got it on crosswalks, trash cans, and da-da-da. And it was intimidating a little bit to the non-whites perhaps, but they know the government's on their side, so that's why they're not worried. They know that they've been told by our governments to come here and take all our shit and rape all our women. When I told y'all that in 3.5 years, the government's going to openly tell all the non-whites here in our countries and all the white countries to just start slaughtering any white person they see or kidnap and take hold of whatever white person they see, they actually already do that. They're already telling them that stuff before they load them 220 at a time on a jumbo jet and fly them here. They get off the plane ready to hunt down a white girl. And because we've paid for them to all have Obama phones and internet on them, they watch white girls getting boned by blacks all day on porn sites and stuff. That's all blacks and non-whites do all day, is watch white women get screwed in porno. That's it. That's all they do on their phones all freaking day. And I know that firsthand, by the way. So as soon as they get off the plane, 220 a pop, they come flooding out of the airport hunting a white woman, hunting a little white girl. They don't care how little she is. They don't care. The younger, the better in their mind. That's just easier for the taking. They already tell them all this shit. So it's ridiculous and pathetic and cucked beyond measure that we tolerate any of this horse shit at all. And now, we have girls being shot just sitting in their car in a drive-through to get coffee. Not in a bad part of town, perhaps. And this worthless nog had 100 arrests, probably. Probably 50 convictions. Probably more than 11 felonies, convicted and everything. And he's walking the streets because of Trump's First Step Act. I told y'all he freed 30,000 blacks who had murdered white people. Many of them murdered another white person within 24 hours of being released. But these others are now, because of the First Step Act, all these leftist black judges and DAs that just drop the charges and just free blacks all the time and let them go of everything, that's all because of the First Step Act that Trump signed. And you'll never get a Trump-servative to realize that or accept it, but it's 100% true. That's exactly what freed them, and that's what gives all of these black judges and black DAs and cucked white shabos goy DAs and judges to let them off scot-free after literally raping and murdering people, white little girls, white women. They just let them go. And what do? They murder another white person. And then the law says, okay, enough of that. Calm down, darky. We're going to have to put you back in detention because now all the white people are looking at us, wondering why we let you go again. So we're going to have to put you back in jail for a hot minute until everything dies down, and then we'll let you back out. But you got to cut that out, man. But really, you don't have to. They know. They know they're already here. They know what they're here for. They're not here to be Americans. They're not here to assimilate. They're not here to freaking contribute. They're here to double and quadruple and however many double dip they can do, quadruple dipping they can do, steal a job from us and get all the benefits still. And the whole goal is to quickly drive us to being at the bus stop, sitting in the hot sun, broke as a joke, waiting on the bus while they're all sitting at the stoplight looking at us, sitting in their brand new Hyundai with the windows up, fiddling with their phone, looking at white girls being banged by non-whites in porn, with their AC going, keeping them nice and comfortable. Full role reversal. Where the third worlders, the dung hutters, the shit eaters are all sitting in brand new luxury cars. And I realize I said Hyundai and now I'm saying luxury cars. But they drive both. Sitting in those while we white people are carless, jobless, lifeless, sitting at the bus stop. Like the third worlders used to be. It's full role reversal, y'all. That's what they want. That's what they're getting. But now that we're in year one of Jacob's trouble, this is supposed to be our 3.5 years. And our people will be duped into believing that we're winning. Hashtag winning. Just like they thought in 2016 through 2020. Just like they thought all last year, even though Trump didn't do shit they wanted him to. They thought he was because they think he's deporting all these illegals. You saw him in the comments all year. This is what I voted for. This is what I voted for, buddy. Little they know, nobody's being sent away. Think about it, y'all. They wouldn't build facilities. They wouldn't build facilities. For what? Forget processing them. If you've already went through the effort to go round them up, all you should be doing is driving them to the closest airplane or the closest shipping barge. That's it. And at gunpoint, you escort that group of those that you rounded up that day to whatever said country. And honestly, I don't think we should deport them back to their countries. I think we should dump them off on Easter Island. And then we should keep battleships there, small ones, little destroyers or whatever, to guard that island to make sure that the Jews don't send some boat to come get them all and bring them back to a white country. And any boat that approaches our forbidden perimeter gets destroyed. That's it. No mercy. No, hey, giving you a second chance to identify yourself, boat. Nope. As soon as we see a boat coming our way, we'll do one hail. We'll do one hail to them. Turn your ass around right now. You're getting blown up. And that's it. That's the only warning they get. And the next thing they see are missiles coming straight at them. And that'll be the last thing they ever see. But the bottom line is, this is our 3.5 years that we are supposed to do everything we can to be on top, to take charge again, to lead our people again, force our own destiny again against all opposition. And some people would say, oh, that's you defying God's prophecy. God wants us to be in this trouble, and so we have to be during this time. But no, if you read Jacob's trouble, the first 3.5 years of Jacob's trouble, Whitey's supposed to be on the up. We are supposed to expose their identity, reveal ours, so it's a complete switch, which means the Great Reset. Not the one the Jews are talking about doing to us, but it's a biblical Great Reset. And because of this Great Reset, our people, many of them, not all, but a lot more of them than we have now, will rally behind us. Look what is happening in the UK with Rupert Lowe. He's saying way more than most of the cucks over there would say. He's saying that they have to remove all the illegals, every single one. Now, granted, he's still cucked. He still said that any Brit who has a foreigner wife or foreigner spouse, they're free to stay. So that's not even good enough. But it's better than any other politician has had the nuts to say over there. And I bet you they're already working on trying to arrest him. Because over there, they don't play. They already have the citizens over there disarmed. They already have them invaded. They already have them conquered and bossed around by all kinds of non-whites. Basically like we do here. So, but they're disarmed. And so their government over there is like, hey, if you even freaking look at a brownoid cross-eyed, we're locking you up, Whitey. I mean, the Jews have the UK almost like Russia in the beginning of the Bolshevik Revolution. Can't be anti-Semitic. That would almost get you put to death over there. I mean, they're really locked down. God bless them. I feel terrible for them. They should have never gave up their guns. That was totally, they just allowed themselves to be cucked. And hello, Uranium Fever 88. Hello, God bless you for chiming in and saying hello. And so, this is our year, y'all. We have to push. This is the year. We have to get at it. Full speed ahead. Let's be the purveyors of prophecy, the way our prophecy is written. Why would we want to let the Jews have all the glory of revealing their own selves when we could be the purveyors of our God's prophecy by exposing them? And that's what we've been doing our best to do with the Epstein files and all these other things. I realize I haven't done videos about the Epstein files, nor have I even done a stream dedicated to them. But that's because we already have so many YouTubers doing Epstein file stuff right now. I could be getting all kinds of views, man. I could be using this Epstein file thing, putting it in the title of my live streams. Man, I'd get way more views. Because there's so many people that are just typing, looking for new channels that are putting out Epstein file videos. Guaranteed if I used it in a title, oh man, I'd have way more views. But that's not what this channel is for. This channel is not about trying to grow it bigger and bigger. This channel is about quality. I want only the highest caliber white people visiting this channel. I want only white people who are fully uncucked to be the regulars here. Of course, I want normies to come here and learn the truth. That's what the channel's really ultimately for. But there needs to be a place where the most based of all of the world can come and hear someone that's at least as based as they are, if not beyond them. And I promise you with all my heart, this channel, and the only purpose of this channel is to be 100% based, 0.00% cuckery, absolutely zero. We don't promote anything a Candace Owens or a Thomas Sowell or a pair of Nog twins or the Tate mongrels have to say. We don't use non-whites as our reference. We don't use mongrels as our reference at this channel. We use only white people at this channel for our reference. There have been more than plenty white men who have already walked this earth and said what everything needs to be said to us for us to carry out our own destiny, whether Christ arrives in 7 years or whether he doesn't arrive for another 160. We will be able to, with what our white people have already said, take ourselves into the future, if we will it. Our cucked white people are not going to uncuck themselves. You have to do it. And it's not an easy task. I understand that 100%. I realize that. I accept that. It's true. It's not an easy task. I would say it's harder of a task than doing something physically difficult. But it has to be done. And we don't have time. We're completely out of time. Now is year one, starting in 30 days. We already got a great start to this year. So if we keep this energy and we keep this momentum going, and we all push as hard as we can in comment sections and chats. If you make videos, make videos. If videos aren't your thing, but you do live streams, do your live streams. Get the information out there. that Jews are not Israelites. Our people will not stop bowing to them until they finally realize that. As long as all of our white people think Jews are God's chosen people and not us, they will forever bow to everything the Jews demand. So you have to uncuck them. We aren't left with a choice. It has to be done. So please, pretty freaking please, with sugar on top, do everything you can to awaken and uncuck as many of our people as possible, especially in this next 3.5 years. After this 3.5 years, if they do what is scheduled to happen in prophecy and turn on us full mutiny in every country, at that point, we're on shit hit the fan mode. But until then, while we still have internet and electricity and running water and infrastructure and all these things in place, we have to use it to communicate while we have communication ability. These are the good old days right now, y'all. I realize it don't seem like that. I realize that compared to 35, 40 years ago, this ain't the good old days at all. But I promise you, compared to what's coming in the very near future, less than 5 years, you'll think back at this time, 5 years from now, when we have no communication, no electricity, our government's hunting us with our helicopters and non-whites by the billions. You're going to wish you had done way more when we still had internet and still had the comfort of our homes and still had grocery stores down the road to get food at, while you still had infrastructure and electricity and didn't live in the Stone Age. You're going to wish you had done way more. Because in your mind, you're going to be thinking, damn, if I had just been part of it and done more and put in more effort and made more comments and put in more likes to pro-white channels and avoided non-whites at all costs when I patroned anywhere, and if I had just done all these extra things more so, would I not be in this horrible situation I'm in right now, hiding in a bush, hoping these troops walking by with all these nigs don't see me? With their night vision and fleur vision and every fucking thing else? I sure wish to God I would have used 5 years ago to my advantage. I might not be in this pickle right now. Not near as bad a one, maybe. You'll be thinking that in 5 years. If we are correct about this being the time of prophecy for the end. You'll be wishing you had done 100 times more while you still had air conditioning and heat at the touch of a finger, while you still had light at night with a touch of a finger with no effort to keep it going, while you still have heat in the winter with no effort. And by the way, you're not going to be able to have a fire in the winter. When you're being hunted, you can't have a fire. Got to stay as cold as possible, including your body. And you can't keep your body cold, so basically you have to keep thermal blankets with you, double them up over yourself. That's the only way you're not going to be seen from the air, or even from the ground for that matter. So funny enough, a tinfoil hat is going to be a tinfoil blanket you're going to need. So I hope your tinfoil hats fold out big enough to be a tinfoil blanket. And then you need a second one, because one tinfoil blanket actually doesn't block quite enough of your heat. And I recommend getting extra large ones. Don't get small ones, because the heat that radiates from the sides of your body will leak out all the way around the perfect freaking shape of the freaking blanket. You'll have an aura around the outer edges of the thermal blanket. So what you got to do is you get an extra large one and spread it way out wide, as far away from your body. All the edges of it should be as far from your body as possible, so that as the radiant heat coming off your body exudes outward from your body however many inches, maybe a foot in theory, and hopefully the blanket will be large enough, both of them doubled up, will be large enough to keep your signature totally out. But, they're going to have other types of vision too. They already do. That would be able to see you anyway, regardless of that. And we're not going to have all that tech, Not everybody's got Cody money and can buy every kind of freaking $10,000 camera to mount on a tactical helmet. And by the way, as soon as you walk around with a tactical helmet on, you're going to be noticed right away. All those little glass lenses, you turn your head this way and that, it sends out a little shine, a little shimmer. And anybody that's looking across the way, scanning an area, scanning from above or whatever, can see one of your lenses as the sun hits it the right way at their angle they're at. And boom, they get a little flash of light from one of your lenses on your helmet. And now they got a target to aim at too, and it's going to be a headshot right through the helmet. So that's the problem with tactical gear, is it's very handy if you have a bunch of it on and your opponent has none. And that's going to be our situation. We're going to have none of that shit, and they're going to have all of it. Issued by our own government. And they've already had all these sports cuck, military cucks training non-whites on how to use machine guns, rocket launchers, driving tanks. Anything they can manage to teach a brownoid to do, especially dung hunters, they've been teaching them. And these white guys, boy, they think they're something hot shit once they've taught a black guy how to do something. Oh, yeah, we taught that nog up, man. He knows how to drive a tank now. And they pat themselves on the shoulder like they're hot shit. Like they taught a giraffe how to drive a car or a zebra how to drive a cab. So pleased with themselves. And all the while, what they did is they taught yet another non-white how to use our own military equipment against us when the Jews decide to use our entire military against us during the Great Tribulation. So there's that. But let me hop in the chat here real quick and just read a couple of things you guys have said. Evan Smith had said, rest in peace, Gabrielle. Agreed, 100%. Rest in peace, dear. Very sorry to her. It's just horrible. Could be issues with cookies. I don't know. I mean, it's two different devices, so completely different devices. So I doubt it is. It's got to be some other crazy thing going on. And everything else on my internet works. All other websites and everything works. So, and Evan Smith said, 1 Samuel 16:12, and he sent and brought David in. Now he was ruddy and had beautiful blue eyes and was handsome. And the Lord said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Very nice. And that's the thing is, we have a physical distinct characteristic, and it separates us from all the non-whites of the world. Not only do we have, God could not have made it more obvious for us. How much more obvious does it have to be? He made all the world's non-white beasts black-haired, brown-skinned, not able to blush, beady brown eyes. He made white people 12 different hair and eye color combinations we can have. We're white and ruddy, and we can blush. And it says it to us over and over and over all through the Holy Bible. And when you try to present all of that to a white person, they just short circuit. It's the most bizarre thing. They can read any other book and completely comprehend it. Doesn't matter what story it is. It could be a Nancy Drew book or a Dean Koontz or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. Doesn't matter. They read it. They don't need to interpret anything, right? And they know who's who in it. They know who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, who's indifferent. Then when you show them plain as day what our Holy Bible says, that every godly character in the entire Holy Bible is white and ruddy, that mankind, Adam himself, white and ruddy, that Eve was made from his body, and the first thing he said to her was, now this is bone of my bone, not some other type of bone. And we have different bone structure than all the others. We have different bone density than all the others. And flesh of my flesh. That means skin color. And the kind after kind. And the Tower of Babel. And everything you explain to our people, they just short circuit. And these are the same white people who literally would take a bullet to declare they're a Christian. And they don't even believe our own Bible. It's quite maddening. All right, what do we have here? Let's see. Also, John Connor asked, did you see the Olympic pentagram? Well, I saw it in thumbnails of other people's videos. You know, I didn't watch the Olympic ceremony myself, but yes, I did see like some other videos, other YouTubers had posted thumbnails where they showed the pentagram. I saw that it was, you know, right side up instead of upside down. But of course, you know, all you got to do is rotate it and then boom, you got your upside down one. And it doesn't even matter if it's upside down. Just the fact that it's a star circled is their symbol. It's a pentagram circled, so it's a witch's circle no matter whether it's upside down star or right side up star. But yes, I did get wind of it. I did see it in some thumbnails. And John Connor asked, the files release was a ritual, you think? No, I don't think it was a ritual, but I do think that it is a part of the Jews' MO, you know, part of Satanism for them. See, since they're doing the opposition, the opposite of God's moral laws, they had to come up with their own structure, their own idea of what's good and bad, because after all, if they declare God as bad so that they are the good guys, well, then they surely need to have some semblance of a structure of what is good for their side. And so one of the things they've done to like create their own version of bizarro justice for their own selves, to redeem their own selves in some weirdo way, is, like you probably already know, they will admit openly the things they're doing to people, right? But they can do it whichever way they want. So they can post it in a newspaper. In this day and age, instead of it being posted in the classifieds, which is how you would still give public notice to someone, they can do it with articles they put out, you know. Eliminating whiteness, you know, whatever the title of the article is. And then it's just some opinion piece by some Jew or some Shaboskoy. And it's all about them saying what they plan on doing to us or what they're already doing to us. Now, that's giving us conspicuous notice. On Saturday Night Live, they love to use Saturday Night Live to tell us the truth, especially in the news report section. That's where they speak the most truth. And it's all done in jest. But the truth is spoken in jest, and then that way, in their own retarded world of what they call karma, and they call it cosmic karma sometimes if you're like a Scientologist version or whatever, but just the Jewish straight Satanism version, it's just, they don't even use the word karma. They have their own word for it, but it's basically like a redemption for them, you know. And they know that it's bullshit. They know that it's made up and artificial and invalid because it's not God issued. But it gives them an excuse, which I've explained before. somehow they have deluded themselves into thinking, because they've spent hundreds of years being attorneys and lawyers, they think that they're going to lawyer their way around with God. So they think that they're going to get this judgment day where they stand before God's throne like we're going to have to. Pro tip, they're not going to get to stand before God's throne and have a judgment day. But this is what they think, right? They've deluded themselves into thinking that they're going to have a stand before God judgment day, right, where they get to stand before God's throne and argue their case, right, like they're used to doing in our own court systems where they have it all rigged for themselves to always win. What they don't realize, and what they've self-deluded themselves into not realizing, I guess, whatever, is that shit doesn't work in God's realm. It only works here where they have Shabbos Goy obeying their every whim, who are judges and all these things. It doesn't work in heaven that way. And so even if they got to stand before God in a trial of judgment, which they do not get to do, even if they did, they wouldn't be able to lawyer their way out of it. But here's what they think they're going to be able to say to God. They think that they're going to be able to have a trial date, have a hearing before God, before his throne, and their plan is that they're going to tell God, you should not be so harsh against us in your punishment. After all, we didn't cut that little girl's boobs off. We didn't cut that little boy's Peter off. We didn't tell all those homosexuals of your kind, of your favorite creation, to be homosexuals. They did all of that on their own. We didn't tell those pretty white girls of yours by the thousands to become wiggers and nigger lovers. No, they did all that on their own. They decided that on their own. So you should be mad at your own special creation, not us. We didn't do any of that. Look at what your special creation did all across the world, killing each other with tanks and battleships and rocket launchers and missiles and bombs. We don't know how to make any of that crap. We've never made a plane. We've never made a jet. We've never made a bomb, even though we claimed we did while we were on Earth. We've never made missiles. We don't know how to do all that crap. We're just some nomad sand niggers. Your special creation made all that shit, and then your special creation used those things to blow each other up and kill each other like hotcakes. Not us. We didn't pull the trigger. We didn't build the battleship. We didn't build the missiles and fire them. They did. Your own special creation did. So you should be less harsh on us with your judgment than you plan on being. Is it going to work? Absolutely not. For two reasons. One, even if they got a trial with God, like I said, it won't be rigged in their favor like they're used to having. They're used to winning, but only because they already have everything rigged in their favor. So of course they're going to win when they have everything rigged in their favor. But guess what? Well, hello, puppy. Got a runaway pup. I hear the guy hollering for him. He likes to come by and say hi. He didn't come up and let me pet him, though. But, so, the thing is, we have... Hold on one second. My apologies. So, anyway, I was going to say we have, but I was going to get on to something about us, but I'll digress back to that in a minute. But to finish off about the Jews here, they not only do they not have God's court rigged in their favor like they're used to having here on earth, but they don't get to have a court date with God. Somehow, even though they've read the book of Obadiah, even though they know exactly what's coming for them, They have deluded themselves into thinking that somehow they're still going to get a trial date with God. They're still going to get a hearing. And they're not. And all you have to do is not only read Obadiah, but also read Revelation. And God is very explicit and specific about how things are going to go down. And Christ himself, I should say, is very specific with Revelation. And so they don't get a trial date with God. They don't get a day to try to fool God. Their judgment day is the day Christ comes in the clouds. When suddenly Christ comes in the clouds, their anti-white party is over forever. And it will never return. I should say it will. Shouldn't say it will never return, because it will. We will go to heaven, and we will spend one Sabbath day in heaven. That's what it'll be for us. But when we come back down to earth, riding inside of heaven, the 375-mile long, 375-mile wide, 375-mile tall city, we're going to land on Florida. And at that time, Satan's chains, from him being bound for 1,000 years because there was no non-white on the earth to do his bidding, or even a white Shabbos Goy to do his bidding, now his 1,000-year binding in chains will be loosed for a little season. And that little season is the time that heaven has landed on earth, and we will be eating popcorn, watching out of the transparent jasper walls as the non-whites are reanimated. And even though it's been 1,000 earth years, their bodies will not have decomposed. Their clothing will not have worn or tattered. They will suddenly spring back to life. They will all wake up laying on the ground and all get up and look around at each other and realize that all the whiteys are gone. And they will panic. And that is when you will hear about the gnashing of teeth and anger and rage. And as they start freaking out and chimping out, and they have no one to chimp out at because it's only them left, Satan will be loosed, and he will reveal himself to them in a physical form somehow. And he will tell them, hey, Whitey left all his helicopters and tanks and battleships and missiles and rocket launchers and lasers and high-tech stuff behind. Let's hop in all this stuff. Let's rally together. We'll form the mightiest army the world has ever seen. 6 billion of us plus, and we'll attack the city. And so all of that time that happens, however much time that little season is, whether it's days of Earth time or months of Earth time or perhaps years of Earth's time. I don't think it will be. I think it'll probably just be days. But you never know. We might land and just be partying it up, and they are just looking through the walls at us like when you see a gorilla at the zoo. Only we're inside the cage, and they're all in the outside free world. But we want to be in the cage, I promise you that. That's a heavenly cage, literally heaven. So we'll be on the inside looking out. It'll be like one of them safaris where the white people get in the clear pickup truck. The bed of the truck is all clear, but it's like an acrylic cage inside. And then you go drive around, and the lions and the tigers and shit jump all over the truck. And you can sit there and take pictures of their belly because it's right up against the glass. That's what it's going to be for us when we come back to earth inside of heaven. We're going to land on earth, and however long it takes, whether it's days, weeks, months, years, Satan will have that time to rally all of them together. And then they will attack the city at some point. And once they attack heaven, That's it. That's the Jews and all the non-whites' final day. So they don't get a trial. They don't get a hearing with God. That's for us white people. And our judgment hearings, one at a time with the Lord, will be on an individual basis, which is why Christ said, in heaven there's neither man or a woman or whatever, or there's no marriage or whatever. He was meaning at judgment. When we get to heaven, we're each going to have to stand before God one at a time, whether you're married or not. Your wife's going to have to face God by herself. You're going to have to face God by yourself. And he will note that you're married, but you will face him by yourself, and you will answer for your own self. And based on how good your man was in God's eyes will determine where you are in the hierarchy of kingdomhood in the new earth. For we will have kings and we will have kingdoms as God intended us to have here on earth originally. We will go back to having monarchies. And depending on how great or not you were called in heaven during your mortal trial will determine whether you are a king of a kingdom, whether you are a nobleman of a kingdom, serving a king, or whether you are a commoner, whether you were something in between, upper middle class maybe. And there will be no strife, there will be no jealousy. As crazy as it sounds, there will not be. For everyone will understand, based on their judgment day, facing God as an individual, each. They will understand that their position is just and fair and perhaps even generous. And so I'm wanting all of you to be a king in heaven. I plan on being called great in heaven. I'm doing what I can to try to be called great in heaven. I want the Lord to know that I put heaven first. I put him first. I put Christ first. I put his word first. And I trust that the Holy Ghost is with me to protect me while I do so. And that's what I care more about than I care about whatever job I have, however much money I have, any amount of things I might ever have. Do I enjoy having money and things, a substance, whatever? Sure. Godly men had substance. Nicodemus was rich and funded Christ's entire ministry out of his own pocket. Christ never shamed him for being rich. Christ utilized his richness. And Nicodemus gladly donated it. So was it bad that he was rich? No. He didn't get it by ill-gotten means. And so he had established his own wealth. So I'm not against people who've honestly developed their own living, their own substance. Abraham had much substance. So did Aaron. Israel and Esau had much substance. Solomon was king of the world. But I don't put those things as important. I am grateful for them if God gives them to me. And that's all. I realize, I understand that all things turn to rust. All things are vain. All things are vanity. They're just for now. They're just looks. And none of it really has any substance to it. It does right now for us in our mortal trial. And these things come in handy for us while we're in our mortal trial. And that's why I'm not against these things. I'm not against people having cars and money and a nice place to live, nice neighborhood for their children to grow up in, or nice country homesteads. What I'd prefer our people get to live in. I don't believe in neighborhoods necessarily. But for some people, they prefer that. They want to be around more people, close-knitted. And so God bless them if that's the way they like to live. But for me, that's just cringe. I like being on acreage. But when you face God in your trial, that will be the determination of your hierarchy. Why would he call you up in the clouds with Christ to then send you back down to earth to the pit of hell or to the lake of fire with all the damned? No, you would have just stayed with them when Christ first arrived and harvested white people away. You see? So your judgment is not to determine whether or not you don't get to stay in heaven or go into heaven. You're going to already be there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be standing before God's throne. So the only reason you're going to be there for a judgment is to determine where in the new earth, hierarchy-wise, you're going to exist. All of these Christians that claim that they follow the Bible or they believe the Bible, they never say they follow. If they do, they're using that word incorrectly. They're misspeaking because they don't really follow the Bible. Otherwise, they would follow exactly the way I teach it. And it's not me teaching it. It's just the way the Bible is. And I'm just explaining it. But they would be explaining it to everyone the exact same way I do because that means you follow what the Bible says. Instead, they want to interpret. They want to take things that the Bible says and totally ignore them, totally disregard them, or say, oh, that's symbolically, or that's a metaphor there. That's just speaking metaphorically. So many excuses. Now, meanwhile, our Bible is very specific. It's very specific. It gives us colors and numbers of each thing that it declares we ought to know the color and number of each thing. When it details how to build the tabernacle, it literally told Abraham how many ringlets to hold each drape up with, how long each section of drape needed to be, how wide each section of drape needed to be, what type of material it had to be, what color it had to be, how many of those panels had to be around the tabernacle. The ringlets had to be made of a specific material. The wood of the third temple has to be made of cedars of Lebanon, not oak trees, not maple, not cedars of something else. When our Holy Bible mentions colors and numbers of things, it's important. It matters. Or it wouldn't have bothered telling you at all. There is not one wasted sentence in our Holy Bible. Even when it repeats itself, it's still not a wasted sentence. Because sometimes people will read the first sentence where it made a declaration, and it goes right over their head. So what does the Bible do? The very next verse, or a verse or two later, it repeats itself and rewords itself some other way, but says the exact same thing that it just said 2 or 3 lines ago. Why? So that someone like you or I can come along and explain to them when they didn't catch it the first time on the first sentence, we can prove to them, even if we point it out to them and they try to reject it and refuse to accept what it's saying, we can say, look, the Bible doubles down and confirms that that's exactly what we're explaining to you that it means right here in this sentence, because look at the next line down, or look at 3 lines down from that. It basically repeats itself on this line up here, only it rewords it another way so that you're clear. It's doubling down. It's reaffirming. It's it's explaining itself further with a different approach so that you can definitively understand that that is the message it's conveying. So there is no wasted sentence in our Holy Bible, even if it seems to be just a repetition of a sentence before it. It's there for a reason. And I'm very glad that that everything God has put in our Holy Bible lines up so perfectly with what we see in reality. The Jews behave exactly as you would expect Esau's kids, the Edomites, to behave. The non-whites behave exactly as the Holy Bible declares they do. I mean, it's crazy how clear our Bible is. And I was going to read Revelation tonight instead of running the slideshow and just chatting with y'all freestyle tonight. I was going to do Revelation tonight, but since we had Miss Gabrielle murdered, and many other white girls this week, by the way, and many other white boys this week, many other elderly women of ours this week. I'm sure plenty of our men were murdered this week too. But because she got the most attention, she's, being spoke about more so than the others by a lot. And because she was such a notable person, of our people, it's not every day that you meet an Olympic figure skater. And so not only is the stream tonight dedicated to her, but to all white people who have perished this week. And we will read Revelation on another night. Perhaps we'll do it on Sabbath stream or something. I do plan on being able to do a Sabbath stream this weekend for y'all. Looks like I will be free to do so. And so that is the plan. And that will probably be when we go ahead and read Revelation. What I will do is I will read through the 22 chapters straight from the beginning. And I will explain all along the way. Things that sound confusing, things that seem like they don't make sense, or just to clarify what it's saying, whatever. I will do so, and I will do so as best I can in as short a form as I can, instead of doing these big, long mega rants on each little thing like we do. I will try to do short, concise, little explanations and immediately start moving along and continue moving, And I realize it's laughable to hear me say that, of all people, but I really will try my best to do it as short form as I can, because 22 chapters, it's a pretty long read for one stream. It still won't take that long, though. I'll bet you we'll be done with it in 2.5 hours maybe, and that's with me stopping along the way and explaining things. So might take 3.5, but I doubt it. Probably 2.5. And so we will go through that. And you'll want to tune in for that one, because I tell you what, Revelation, I don't know if y'all have read it, but I'm sure most of you have. But what an incredible book. What an incredible book of our Holy Bible. What an incredible explanation from Jesus Christ. And what incredible explanations from John the Revelator, where he was expressing what he could explain that he saw with his own eyes in vision. The things he saw were so magnificent. He literally was brought to the throne of God, and Christ showed him around. It's kind of where, that's how, the Jews, they created that ghost, or that story of the ghost of Christmas past or whatever. Of course, they use Christmas of all things and everything else. they basically stole from the book of Revelation to come up with that idea. You know, this ghost takes him and shows him this other realm that he wouldn't ever get to see otherwise, and all these things from this other dimensional viewpoint. They stole all that concept from Revelation because Christ takes John in vision to heaven. And John gets to stand before the throne as a mortal, but in vision. You know, his body wasn't there, but his soul truly was. His soul with its eyes that we use physically to see, his soul's eyes were there with him and beheld all those beautiful, wondrous things of heaven that he could see. And for a man from the Stone Age like that back then, I realize it wasn't the Stone Age, but, you know, where he came from a world where everything was very low tech. And so for him to see all this magnificence, you know, was beyond what he could comprehend. And so how wonderful of a description. He managed to write down about the detail of things that he saw, the colors, the just glory of it all. And the specific things he was able to recall and put on, you know, papaya or however, whatever material he wrote it on originally. And so here we are. We're at the door of getting to go to that same glorious realm that John the Revelator got to see. If we only have 7 years till Christ's arrival, y'all, then this is it. We are absolutely loving it. And, you know, I realize that it is going to be a sad time for us. It's what's so wild is this is going to be a bittersweet thing. And we're going to have to survive it with the hope and looking forward to 2033. And we don't have to know the day or the hour. Christ said nobody's going to know that, and that's all right. But he did tell us to watch the signs in the heavens. And he gave us specific things to look out for also on top of the signs from the heavens. But since the Jews are keeping those things from us, like building the third temple underground where we have no idea that it's already built and they're already committing sacrifices daily in it. And I don't know if it has started yet. I don't know if the temple is finished yet, but it will be completed in the next year or two. And they will begin daily sacrifices in it without us knowing, most likely. And that's so the Goy have no idea that one of the signs that Christ told us to be on the lookout for is occurring already. The Jews don't want us to know that Christ is about to return. They don't want white people looking forward to Christ about to arrive. They want us hopelessly in despair so that more of our people become junkies, more of our people become wiggers, more of our people become murderers, more of our people become, you know, evil, leftists. And the Jews think for every one of those of our people that they corrupt, that's one more middle finger they've given to Christ and to God before they burn in the lake of fire. And that's really the only remorse or the only recourse they have as far as they're concerned. And you hear all these Christians say things like, oh, we got to convert the Jews. The Jews can be converted. Jews can be saved. No, they can't. No, they can't. It says right in the book of Jude, they are ordained to this condemnation. Look it up right now. Jude, The book of Jude, it's only 1 page long. It says right in there that the Jews are ordained to this condemnation. They are our assigned by God enemy. It's not an option. And you could say, yeah, but what about the Jewish chick that in Matthew chapter 15, verse 22, or verse 24, verse 25, he ends up, I guess it would be verse 26, he ends up granting this Jewish chick's wish and says, oh, great is your faith. So he healed her daughter of being possessed by a demon. And that's true. But did he save her? Did he say, I'll see you in my Father's kingdom? Nope. He ignored her all day. His disciples ignored her all day. All on purpose, by the way. All while he spent the entire day healing white person after white person while she's moaning and screaming over top of everyone. All he did was said, oh, woman, great is your faith. And told her daughter is healed. He didn't say, I'll see you in my kingdom. I'll see you in my Father's kingdom. Don't worry, you'll be with us in paradise someday. No. And she didn't call him the Son of God, by the way. He knew she didn't want to have to say it, and she didn't say it. And so when he finally did talk to her, he called her a dog right away. He let her know that her entire race are dogs. And only because she resisted the Jewish inclination to argue back with him and instead agreed with his insult to her, did he go ahead and grant her her wish. And he told her that's why. He said, great is your faith. But he didn't mean faith in Christ saving her for eternal life. She knows that she is, just like the book of Jude says, ordained to their condemnation. So she wasn't there asking God to save her for eternity. She knows she's just here for her mortal trial. And so, since her child had a problem, she was like, well, he's the only guy I can ask who can heal someone because he's the Son of God. So I'm going to have to go ask him. So they already know the deal. And all they're trying to do is convince as many white people as possible to corrupt their own selves so that the Jews help destroy as much of Christ's harvest as possible. And this is where we get into, and I'll get back to the chat in a minute, this is where we get into the controversy of whether or not all of our people will actually be saved. Now, I'm still kind of on the fence. I'm 50-50 because it does say in our Holy Bible that God's preference is that all Israel be saved. But that doesn't mean that he is going to save us all. And why would he give us the warning of condemnation and not going to heaven? Why would Christ have had to have come here and died a horrific death on the cross for our sins if it wasn't a very big deal that we have to be saved? So, I do think, because Christ said many will not go, many will be, the broad is the way to destruction. And many will go the wrong way and not get to enter into heaven. I think that's white people. I think that's white people because he wouldn't concern himself with warning us about beasts. They're all gone when he shows up. He wouldn't concern himself with warning us about Jews that will be going for destruction. He was warning them about us so that they don't lead us to destruction. But he wasn't warning us that they're all going to destruction. That's already a given. So I am not necessarily of the camp that all Israel will be saved. The idea of it is glorious. The idea that all white people will be saved in the end regardless is in a lot of ways glorious to me. Now I realize that, the idea of all these sicko pedos and murderers, white people and stuff being saved, sickens most people, the idea of any of that. And I understand that fully. And I don't think Christ would actually save any of them. But, of course. But what I mean is, ones who never actually did anything foul or heinous or super bad to anyone, but still did not yield to Christ, still did not, dropped the mic there, still did not, do what they were supposed to do, what God expects of us. They didn't function as intended, right? And I'm not saying that somebody can make it to heaven without Christ. Definitely not saying that. I'm saying that Christ may perhaps, according to some people's faith and belief, that Christ will save, all of our people that didn't do anything heinous or whatever, super bad. You hear those cuck types that are like not a Christian yet, and they're like, oh, I'm a good person, And to them, they probably are, because after all, they've never attacked anyone. They've never stolen anything from anyone. They've never tried to kill anyone. They've never tried to rape anyone. They've never tried to harm a child or do anything foul to one. And when they check all those boxes off the list of bad things you could do to someone, and they see that, no, I haven't done any of these things. I haven't done anyone foul. I haven't, ripped anyone off. I haven't stolen. I'm not a thief. So I declare I'm a good person. I don't do anything that the law would be mad about and arrest me for or call me a bad person for. So I'm a good person. And so, again, because in judgment, everybody in judgment is there to determine where their hierarchy in existence will be in the new earth. I believe since we have to have plenty of commoners, how are you going to have a kingdom if it's just you and your old lady and your kids? That ain't a kingdom. You just got a family, which is great, but that's not a kingdom. And so in order to have a kingdom, you have to have many people. It has to be a miniature nation of sorts. And so the commoners, there have to be commoners for you to have a kingdom. There has to be a lot of them, right? And so I think that if that is the case, that Christ will save everyone that didn't commit a super heinous thing or whatever, that they will be the commoners in the new earth of our kingdoms. And again, there won't be any jealousy or strife because of it. They will have, because of each one of their facing God, they will accept and be grateful for their position of even being in heaven at all. I'm sure you all have heard Christians before, and you've probably been, kind of fooled into saying it. I know I'm guilty of saying it back in the day when I was cucked, that if I can just get in, I'd be happy just to be the janitor in heaven. Because at least I'm there. At least I made it. Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for me. I want to be called great in heaven. I don't want to just be the janitor. And so that's the thing is, there are people who are willing to be the lowest of hierarchy, and as long as they're still there, they will be satisfied. Not only satisfied, they'll be eternally grateful, especially after they have faced judgment before God. Because once you've walked away from your judgment moment with God and you step out of the throne area back into, the regular part of heaven, and then eventually when he sends you to the new earth, or sends all of us to the new earth at once, or however he does it, as you leave judgment from God, you will be not only accepting and appreciative of it, but you'll be ultra grateful, eternally grateful for wherever he decides to place you in the hierarchy. If I end up being just a commoner, so be it, because there have been so many people before me, and there will be so many people right now. There are so many people, and there are so many people that may come after me who will have been much greater than me. Perhaps all of the kings are already established from the wild, crazy, brave men who existed all through the last 2,000 years after Christ, before our time. And so maybe all of us in this day and age will all be commoners. But I'm trying my best in my mortal trial, and I hope you all do too, to be called great in heaven during your own mortal trial. And once you are there, you don't want Christ, you don't want God and the 24 elders to be like, I don't know, it's a no for us, Jesus, but if you really want to let him in, then we'll go ahead and allow it. You don't want to get into heaven like that. Who wants to get into heaven like that? Not me. When I walk in the courtroom, when I walk in and step in before God's throne and look at him eyes to eyes, face to face for the first time, I want his face to light up with a huge smile. And I want all 24 elders, when I look at them, for them to all be smiling and celebrating my arrival. And perhaps giving me a little bit of a nod or whatever. But I want the room to chat when I walk in. I want the room to light up and be excited that I've arrived. And I want to be able to stand next to Christ as he, with God and with the 24 elders, are all smiling and applauding and nodding their head and celebrating my effort. And God says, don't even worry about it, son. What do you say, 24 elders? Looks pretty obvious over here. You're all pleased with him, right? Yep, I am too. It's a yes for me. It's a yes for all of them. So you're in. That's how you want to come into heaven. You want to come in being celebrated. You don't want to come in with God upset with you and the 24 elders upset with you and it's a no for them, and then Christ says, well, because I died on the cross, I say he gets to come in anyway. I say she gets to come in anyway. And then God goes, fine, so be it. Is that really how you want to be enter into heaven? No way. That's not any way to enter eternal life. That's not any way to meet your Creator for the first time upon judgment. You want our Creator to be happy to see you. You want his face to be shining. You want his gleaming bright smile to be staring right at yours. You want to be smiling because you have a reason to be, and you want him to be smiling. It should be a homecoming party. Would you be upset seeing your dad after many years? Would you be upset after seeing your family for many years? No. All of you are smiling and joyously happy. So, that's how you want to enter your trial. That's how you want to enter your judgment date in front of God. With pleasure and joy and excitement. And yes, we'll have fear. The imminence of him, the aura, the magnificence, all of it. Sure, we probably will have the fear of God in our heart a little bit. But remember, we'll be in heaven. So it's not going to be the same thing as fear on earth. All of the versions of fear and pain and misery and fright and all these terror and all these things we experience here will not be what we experience there. We will have a different type of weight on our soul as we face God, if we're not called great in heaven. But that's the point of being, of caring and putting forth effort here. You know, faith without works is dead. You know, and that makes sense because that's the same as when I explain to people that there's a huge difference between saying you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior as though he needs you to accept him. Like he needs somebody to accept him. Like he walks around going, gosh, I sure wish Melissa would accept me. I sure wish Jake would accept me. Or thank goodness Craig accepts me. No, instead, you need to be a follower of Christ. You know, someone who says they accept him as their Lord and Savior, but they're not really a follower of his. I always love to use the analogy of when Christ crafted a whip and stormed into the church building and violently drove all the Jews out and flipped all their tables over and destroyed all their crap, made a mess of all their nice arranged things. When he walked up to the door of the church and went whoosh with that whip, and he looked at the crowd and said, all right, y'all, we're going in here and we're going to flip all this crap over and drive Jews out. Who's with me? Let's go. Only the ones who are followers of Jesus Christ, who follow Jesus Christ, would say, yes, sir, Lord, and storm right in the building right behind him. But the ones who just accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, they're going to stand there and go, Lord, the Jews will have you arrested. They're the cops. They control our government. You can't just walk in there and do that. I mean, you can because you're the Lord. So we trust you and we cheer you on. We support you. And good luck in there. We know you'll do it. We know you'll win because you're the Lord. But we can't go in there. I mean, if we go in there, the Jews will have us arrested. So you see the difference? There's a huge difference between being a follower of Jesus Christ and just being someone who believes in him. Satan believes in Jesus Christ. Satan even does more than believe in Jesus Christ. Satan knows that Jesus is the Son of God. So does that matter? Does that get you into heaven? Does that make Christ save you? No. Satan knows Jesus is the Son of God, but he don't care. He does what he wants. So it's not enough to just accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. That's not enough. You got to be a follower. You got to follow Christ. You got to love what Jesus Christ loved, love who Jesus Christ loved, and you got to hate what Jesus Christ hated and hates right now. Anything he hated back then, he hates right now. And you got to hate who Jesus Christ hates. Otherwise, you're not a follower of anything. You're just a fan of Jesus Christ. You're just an enthusiast of Jesus Christ. But you're no Christian. Not unless you follow Jesus. Not unless you would follow him into the church house and flip all them tables over and drive the Jews out of the church house. Let me get in the chat. No, it's been a while. What do we got here? John Connor said there's thousands of footage, probably he means thousands of hours, I imagine, of footage of actual crimes, but it'll never be released. Every single politician. The country is compromised 100%. Absolutely true. 100%. Not 99, not 93, not 74. 100% compromised. Every single smidgen of it. From the very top presidential seat all the way down and even beyond the presidential seat with all the corporo executive level things bossing around us. Now we found out, I don't know if y'all have read about this in the files, but I and some other YouTubers were discussing some of the files that we had went through, and there are some files that have been discovered, and we were looking at them too, where Epstein and someone else are discussing Epstein right after Trump got elected in 2016. Epstein was determining who was going to be the leader of finance or whatever. He was basically going to tell Trump, and you could tell this from the emails, that Epstein himself would be who decides who are going to be these ultra important cabinet members in his cabinet. And this is right after he got elected. And I wish I could remember, because we went through so much crap today that I don't remember. I don't remember which guy's name it was and which position it was, but it's like a really high thing, like the finance of the country or some crazy level shit. And it was all these other cabinet positions too, but there was one email in particular that was talking about just that one position. Can't remember it right now off the top of my head because we went through so much crud, but I had the day off today, and which is odd for me on a Tuesday, but I had the day off today, and so early on I stumbled into some guys who were going through the files, and so I hung out with them while they went through the files, and we all just kind of discussed what we saw and what we were reading about and what people had found. Quite a few things we went through. I had another one in mind I wanted to mention tonight and talk about a little bit, but I've already forgotten it because there were so many. It was a little bit of information overload. I wish we could have just focused on one or two of them for the day, but there were so many revelations that we were going through them all, and now I just don't remember any of them. But let's see what else here. But to get to what. To finish up what John Connor had said, it's absolutely true. I mean, our entire government is fully compromised. There really isn't anywhere that there isn't full corruption, 100% Jewish control and everything. Evan Smith said, also another idea, it's the prelude to our destruction, just like the bad guys, Bill. The guy who knows too much, now the public knows too much, and now we must be offed. Well, that's kind of the other thing, is because once they've kind of went mask off, that creates the full-on fight, because after all, once they've revealed themselves openly to be our enemies, which they already have been doing forever, but now they're going to, or in 3.5 years, they will for sure. But I imagine it's going to happen this year. They're going to openly reveal that they're not Israel somehow, or we're going to impose that, one or the other, which I would prefer us force the revelation of their identity, not them themselves. But either way that it happens, prophecy declares that in the first year of the 7 of Jacob's trouble before Christ's arrival, and that's this year, beginning April 1st, that not only will Whitey have a rising up for these first 3.5 years, but the very first year will be the great reset of identities, where we are revealed as Israel by default because the Jews are revealed to not be. And that is what I think the bulk of the reason is for the Epstein file release. And I do think they will release more files, even though Bondi has pulled this stunt. Of course, it isn't Bondi, it's Trump. Bondi's just perfectly obeying every move that Trump tells her and says every word Trump tells her to say. But because Trump has pulled this stunt now where they've said, all the files have been released, it's all out there, but everyone else knows they're full of shit because they've already admitted that they had 15 plus terabytes of data, and we've only been given less than 200 gigs. Because again, even in those 200 gigs, like 130 or more gigs of it or so is just junk. So, I think they're going to reveal more because people are going to put pressure. Remember, they already tried to say there was nothing. They already tried to say there's nothing there, nothing to see. Then they gave YouTubers, certain select kosher tubers, the same files they'd already done. Plus, they rickrolled us. When our own government rickrolled us about the Epstein files, that should have been the revolt moment right there. That should have been when everyone took up arms and just stormed D.C. and arrested every politician they could find in sight. When they rickrolled us. How are you going to have the most powerful country in the world's government do a fucking rickroll meme to its own people who are demanding the Epstein files be released? That is insane shit. So, Evan Smith had to roll. Good night, buddy. Sorry I couldn't say good night before you had to bail out, I imagine. John is here. Hello. John PC2YR, or 2 year, whatever. Hello. God bless you. What else? D, what do we got here? D probationibus conspiratio. Wow. That's a heck of a name there. Hello. God bless. And he said, R.I.P. Alex Linder. Yes, rest in peace to him. And he said, read Matt Cole's Faith of the Future. It's an interesting sounding name. Title of a book, I mean. Uranium Fever 88 said, God bless. And thank you very much. God bless to you. Hello. And he said, Everberg, Singlestein, Timowitz. Boy, isn't that the truth. And so, also, there's a new charity that I've noticed. I went to an Ace Hardware the other day, and they had a tent set up out front with some guys out there, nice fellas. They were white guys, and they were doing a fundraiser for this charity, which I declare all charities are scams, and I know that firsthand because I've actually attended events for them on the charity side of things and seen with my own eyes that they're all bullshit. But they were foolishly working for some charity. And it's called like Liberty for Kids USA.org or something like that. And they asked me, if I'd step over and talk to them because they catch you right there by the door. So I said, sure, I'll chat with you for a minute. What you got going on here? And I already knew right away. As soon as I saw their, signage and all that, I already knew I wasn't interested. But they were nice young white guys, so I figured I'd let them say their piece. And so they said their piece, and then I asked them straight point blank. I asked them, is this a Jewish organization? And they weren't even all that caught off guard. I'm sure it caught them off a little bit, but they weren't like super blown away by it. And they were like, no, I don't think so. We know who the owner are. The owners are military veterans that started this themselves and da-da-da. And so I said, okay, so for sure that none of the owners, none of the high-ups, nowhere in the hierarchy of this organization are there any Jews? And he was like, no, sir, I don't believe so. And I'm like, because Jews create anti-trafficking, because that's the whole point of this charity, is it's supposed to be anti-trafficking of kids or whatever. I'm like, you realize Jews are who create anti-trafficking of kids organizations and charities, and they use them to traffic kids with. And he was like, I have, and he literally said, he goes, I have heard about the Epstein files. And I'm like, there you go. See, I was like, I tell you what, I'll do my due diligence and look into this place. I'm not going to donate to it until I do my due diligence. But if it does seem totally legit to me, maybe I'll come back and throw y'all something, but no guarantees. And he was like, hey, fair enough. He was super friendly about the whole thing. So was the other guy that was with him. And we had a great interaction, but I planted that seed to them that there are people out here that know about the Jews, know that the Jews create these anti-kid trafficking organizations literally to run as a cover for them to do exactly that thing. So now those two young white men have been told by a based white man exactly what the time it is. You know what I mean? Even though he knew about the Epstein files and said to himself, that doesn't mean he really understands what's going on. And so I just told them what's up with those kind of charities. So now, from now on, I guarantee you, they've never heard a base white man walk up and say all that shit. So from now on, that's going to be burned into their memory. I guarantee you that my conversation, the shit I said to them, has replayed in their head 100 times since we had our interaction. And so those two young men are on their way to becoming based. And that's all you have to do is plant seeds like that, y'all. Plant seeds like that. And don't bother with non-whites. They're not on our side. Don't bother wasting your time cucking about non-whites. That's a waste of your freaking time. There's no such thing as a cool black guy. There's no such thing as a cool freaking Mexican or Puerto Rican. They're all here at our expense, and they know it. And every black guy that you think's cool or whatever has tried to get every white woman he can. And anytime he ever runs into an opportunity, no matter how cool of a black guy you think you know, if he ever has an opportunity to attack and rape a white woman without anyone catching him, without anyone being able to see him or stop him from doing so, he will do it. So there is no such thing as a good one. I don't want to hear that garbage out of anybody. No such thing as that garbage. Just because a black guy acts cool around you so that you don't slaughter him right there on the spot doesn't mean he's cool. They are opportunists. It's like saying that a tiger in the freaking jungle is cool. Oh, that tiger, those pack of tigers are, yeah, they're cool. That one tiger, yeah, he's cool. He won't eat you. Yeah, he comes over here and he sits by me and he hangs out and shit. And he's never eaten me yet. He's never tried to attack me, so he's cool. No, he ain't. He's just cool in your eyes, in your view, in your moment there with him. But you catch that nog in an alley with a blonde white girl walking by herself down the alley, and that cool black guy you think so cool is going to attack and rape that white girl and probably murder her afterward so that there's no evidence to catch him later. Nowadays, they don't have to care. They can just leave her dead laying in the alley and go on about their day because they know even if they get caught, it's just a minor inconvenience. They got to spend a couple of nights in summer camp, get some free meals, some free heat for the night, and then they're back out in a couple of days. In fact, it's cold as shit out these days for the wintertime. So a lot of them are going to be killing and attacking and killing white girls just so they can get some free warm shelter. So all this bullshit about, oh, this black guy, no, he's cool. No, he ain't. That's just your cuckery leaking out. There's no such thing as a cool one. Every one of them has their chimp out moment. Every one of them will take the opportunity to attack a white girl if the opportunity ever arises. It's just the way it is. Guarantee you, every freaking... Remember that black in the military that raped that... Thankfully, I think it was a black girl. I don't think it was a white girl. Raped and killed a black girl. Chopped her up. Or he didn't chop her up, but he put her body in a dumpster afterward. Maybe it was a white girl, but I'm pretty sure it was like a brownie or something. But he raped her, killed her, put her in a dumpster at the Army base. He didn't even drive her off base and put her in some dumpster at a 7-Eleven 25 miles away. He dumped her body right in the dumpster, right on the base, 100 feet from her barrack, 100 feet from his barrack, 100 feet from where everybody walks by every day. That's how fucking stupid and crazy and psycho and dumb they are. And I guarantee you, if you hung out with any one of those military cucks that hung out with that dude, he was in the same troop with that guy, same platoon, same whatever the fuck with the guy, same regiment, same whatever the fuck. Oh man, we trained together. We went to Iraq together. We're brothers. Yeah, okay. You think so. Had that been a blonde white girl in an alley, she'd have got done the same way, even faster. But you ask that military group of dudes that trained with him and went to Iraq with him and served with him, as they love to say. Oh, he's cool. He's one of the brothers. He served in the military with me. Nah, he's a fucking piece of shit nog is what he is. And you're just cucked. That's all. And eventually, regardless of the fact that all of them thought he's cool and he served with us, well, it didn't mean shit in the end, did it? He ended up being a murderous rapist. So there is no cooling. So tired of hearing that bullshit. There's no such fucking thing. There is only a black acting cool around you. You put him in an alley with a blonde white girl with no one around, she's dead meat. No such thing as a cool one. Don't ever want to hear that bullshit come out of anybody's mouth. I hear it all the time, too. All these different freaking channels, random channels. Be talking about blacks. And refer to one. They'll refer to fucking the Nog twins or Candace Owens or Thomas Sowell or some other stupid fucking shit. It's like, good grief. Are we not past this yet? I mean, we're literally pro-white channels. Are we not past this? Y'all visit pro-white channels. You all visit pro. Can we not get past the fantasy that there's a cool one out there somewhere? There is not. It's like saying there's a cool tiger. Good grief. Even what's their names? The twins, what was it? Sigmund and Freud or whoever it was got chewed up, ate up by their own tiger. You could ask them any day of the week, 7 days a week, they'd tell you, oh, this tiger, oh, he's cool. Nah, he's cool. Nah, you ain't got to worry about him. He's cool. Bullshit. And it only took, finally, one random time for the tiger to chimp out, and that's it. And just like a black or a Muzzy or an Indian or any of the others, they're just waiting on their opportunity. And when they finally do have an opportunity, which will happen to be one of our white girls, helpless and defenseless and alone, and she will be the opportunity they're looking for. So, we're going to have to cut it out with this freaking, oh, this one's cool or that one's cool. No, they're fucking not. They're not on our side. They're never going to be on our side. There is no divide and conquer. All these cucks that talk about, oh, the government's just using the divide and conquer. They're trying to keep us divided so that we don't go after them. Bullshit. There is no unity with non-whites. They're here to conquer us. Could you imagine the French army, Napoleon's army, standing around going, hey, those Brits over there, hey, we're, our leaders are just trying to keep us from being united. No, you're just going to get shot by the Brits. I mean, it's the dumbest idea ever. And that's what causes all of these white girls to end up dating blacks, because of the idea of white guys saying, oh, this one's cool or that one's cool or he's cool. Well, what that does is then that means a whole bunch of them can be cool. How can you expect a white girl to take a look at a black and tell whether one's cool or not? You can't. They can't. And you've allowed other people to spend your kid's whole life telling her, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. When that's exactly what you're supposed to do. God literally color-coded them. Imagine being an electrician and demanding that every color is the same and means the same thing. There's no such thing as positive or negative. There's no such thing as ground or neutral or hot. No. It doesn't matter if it's a red cable that goes here or a black cable that goes here or a green or a white one. Doesn't matter. Just put a wire in the hole and tighten her up. It's all good. A wire is a wire is a wire. They're all the same. Look, they're both made of copper. They're the same gauge. They both have the same thickness of a jacket on them. They're just different colors. Color doesn't mean anything. It's just a social construct, unless we're blaming white people. But otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. No color is better than another color, except white people suck. But otherwise, all colors are equally the same and do the same things. A ground can be a hot, no problem. A neutral can be a ground, no problem. There is a certain order of things. Non-whites are not here to be unified with us. So there is no, our government is trying to keep us divided from the non-whites and keep us fighting among each other with the non-whites while they keep winning. That sure is what it appears to as though is going on. But really what's going on is all of the non-whites are the villains of the Jews, and they're happily here to be so. Hillary, with her broken clock moment, correctly titled them super predators. That's what they are. We have predators on Earth. We have all kinds of birds that are predators. We have tigers and lions and coyotes and all types of predators. But super predators have access to our schools and our children and our women and all of our society and all of our civilization and our government. And that's a huge problem. And we're expecting our white girls, after being told don't be the scary R word, don't judge a book by its cover, we're expecting them to be able to get on a train like Irina Zarutska. That's what we're expecting of them. We're demanding that Irina Zarutska gets on that train and get stabbed in the neck by sitting in the same train car with a nog that she was told don't judge a book by its cover. In fact, blacks are awesome. Oh, this one, he's cool. He's cool. Yeah, I know him. He's cool. I guarantee you, there's 15 white guys in the world somewhere that have known that nog that stabbed Irina Zarutska in the neck. And I guarantee you, every one of them that knew him would say, oh, yeah, that particular nog, yeah, I know him. He's cool. He's cool. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, so you thought. Until he stabbed Irina Zarutska in the neck and walked around the train car saying, I got that white girl. And that's why we can't have any of them here. Because there is no way to know. They can be polite and yes, master, yes, so, master. For 15 years straight. 7 days a week. Perfectly well-behaved nog. But the first time that a white girl is caught behind a building where no one can hear or see, and here he comes, and there she is, and it's just the two of them all alone. Nobody to stop him. Nobody to kill him right there on the spot for trying. Nobody to prevent him from being successful at what he wants to do. And so that girl is done for. Right then in that moment. After 15 years of it being a perfect boon. Perfectly well behaved. Jim Crow, yes, sir. Whatever you say. Ah, he's cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, ask Irina Zarutska how cool Homeboy was. Guarantee you there's white guys in the world that knew that nog and would happily, off top of their head, go, oh, yeah, he's cool. Yeah, I know that, dude. He's cool. I used to work with him. He's cool. Yeah, he worked with me in a warehouse. We used to stock groceries together at night. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, you ain't got to worry about him. He's all right. Knew him for 5 years. Worked with him all the time. He's cool. Stabbed Irina Zarutska in the neck, but he's cool. Yeah, he's all right. You see what I mean? So that's why there can't be any cuckery at all. 0.00% cuckery. We don't have a place for it. Our daughters and our wives can't be expected to know the difference between a cool one and a not cool one because there isn't a cool one. So you're basically giving them a mission impossible task. Go out in the world every day around in an alligator pit and somehow navigate it safely and make your way home. That's stupid. And the only thing holding Nogs back right now is they're waiting on the moment for the Jews to tell them, have at it, Negroes, all you want. Attack all the white people you want. You see a white guy, kill him. See a white girl, capture her, kidnap her. 3.5 years, y'all. You have 3.5 years and 1 month. So prepare yourself. And it says in Revelation that the last 3.5 years where we're in the great tribulation, Christ may decide to come a click early because it says the days will be shortened. But it doesn't say exactly what it means by the days will be shortened. What it might mean is instead of the days happening quicker by some way, it might mean that Christ arrives a little early. That, in other words, the days total of the 3.5 years might be shortened by a little bit. And that would be because of the grievous suffering white people will be under. It will be bothersome for God and for the Lord and for all of heaven to behold. And so they may perhaps shorten our suffering down from 3.5 years to slightly less, maybe 3 years, maybe 2.5. But it will be bad. And by bad, I mean worse than anything humans have ever dealt with. We've never had 7 billion non-whites ready to attack us. That's never been the case in all of history. With our own high-tech whitey military equipment to use against us. That's never happened in all of mankind's history. So we will be under an attack like you cannot even imagine. Worse than we've ever inflicted on any other nation. It will be inflicted on us. And America will look like Gaza when they're finished trying to kill us all. Everything in our country will be destroyed. It'll be an absolute wasteland. Like some dystopia you see, post-apocalyptic dystopia that you see depicted in movies. That's what America will look like. That's what Europe will look like. But it won't matter at that point that all of our churches and all of our statues and all of our infrastructure and bridges and everything are destroyed because we'll be going home. And this whole earth will be destroyed. And we will get to start afresh with a new earth and new heavens that have never seen a single one of our children be defiled or raped or murdered. And not a single star above us, not a single inch of the dome above us will have ever seen violence committed on any of us. The dome and all the stars will have completely virgin eyes. They will have never known our suffering, nor will the new earth. The new earth's soil will remain pure without any of our blood spilled into it. The new trees and the new flowers and the new sky will never have heard the scream of agony or fright or terror or pain or misery from a white person, ever. And it never will. And it'll be worth it. It's going to be worth it. I hope you're looking forward to going. I hope you want to be called great so that you're a king in the kingdom. A king of your own kingdom. And we will converge together during the week as leaders of kingdoms and have royal feasts where we celebrate the election God has given us and where we give glory and thanks to God for our election and where we meet and decide more and better and more creative ways to honor our God on Sabbath, new fun ideas to please Him. Oh man, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for y'all to be there. I wish we were all already there. But we have to wait it out. We have to suffer it as our ancestors have before us who wait in the ground. And so we will. And we will do so with courage, just like our ancestors did before us. And we will do so with resolve and with full confidence in our holy God. Remember, all of this wickedness falling upon us proves that our holy Bible is absolutely true and real. If it was wrong, none of this would be happening to us. And none of this would be happening exactly the way the Holy Bible told us it would. So I hope that all of you, through all of this we deal with and through all this suffering we're going to endure, let it reassure you that we are correct, that our Holy Bible is true, that it is the word of our Creator, that it is our warning book that prophesied all these things to us generations in advance. And we are it. We are the final generation. It is time for us to lead our people to the kingdom. And we can and we will. You have your ancestors' courage and faith in our God running through your veins. When your heart beats, that's a replication of all of your 5,000 years of your ancestors' hearts beating. And all the things you've learned and all the things you'll ever know come from our God and our ancestors before us. So let's take what they've taught us by the reins and let's just do it. God bless y'all. Y'all have a great night.